My headlights illuminated a sign that warned, "Do not look left." I first saw it on a bend I shouldn't have been approaching so quickly, the kind of tight curve that made the road feel like it had swallowed the horizon. The night was thick, low-hanging fog clinging to the asphalt, the edges of the lane disappearing into blackness. My hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles whitening, as I slowed, reading the words over and over. At first, I laughed it off, a nervous, brittle chuckle. Someone had placed a prank sign. Maybe a farmer, maybe a local with a twisted sense of humor. I told myself that repeatedly as I drove past, keeping my eyes fixed straight ahead, imagining the headlights catching a scarecrow, a reflector, anything else but the words themselves. But the road was quiet in a way I had never noticed before. There was no hum of insects, no rustle of trees in the wind, no distant headlights. Even the tires on wet asphalt made too little sound, swallowed by the fog. My pulse thrummed in my ears. I glanced forward, focusing on the bright streaks the headlights carved through the darkness. The road bent left, then right, then left again, a gentle serpentine twisting, and I told myself to ignore the warning. I was a rational person. Nothing in the physical world responded to signs, not like this. Still, my eyes flicked left, almost automatically. Nothing. And yet I felt it, the subtle twitch in my chest, like gravity itself had pulled slightly to the left, a minor vertigo that left me shaky. I shook my head, gripping the wheel harder, telling myself it was just nerves. The fog swirled in front of the lights, thick and yellowish, each particle illuminated in sharp detail. My own breathing was loud in the cab, rapid and shallow. I remembered my father once saying that the roads out here had always had a reputation for strangeness. Stories told around campfires, things disappearing, strange lights. I had never believed him, never been here at night. But now the stories pressed themselves into my consciousness, unbidden. I drove on, faster than I intended, trying to put the sign, and that vague sense of wrongness, behind me. The road stretched forward like a ribbon through fog, no streetlights, no horizon, just black trees pressing in on both sides. Every curve felt longer than it should, the bends drawn out, impossible. My tires hit a patch of wet leaves, the car slid slightly, the sound dulled, and for a moment I felt weightless, like the fog was pressing up against the undercarriage, lifting me slightly from the road. And then I saw it again. Another sign, same words, "Do not look left." Closer this time, almost at eye level. I felt my stomach twist. I forced my gaze forward, past the windshield, at the glimmering reflection of wet asphalt. I told myself again, it's a prank. Someone had strung up multiple signs along this stretch. But the spacing didn't make sense. I had only driven a few hundred feet, yet the next one appeared like it had been planted where I would inevitably see it. The air inside the car grew heavy. My breath fogged slightly, though the heater was off. I rubbed my hands on my pants, trying to feel warmth, but they remained cold. Something about the fog itself felt wrong now. It was too thick in patches, too still, as if the world outside had been paused, waiting. Another bend. I hugged the centerline. My headlights cut through the fog, revealing not trees this time, but a shallow drop off to the left. The edge of the road fell away sharply, disappearing into darkness. A low, rolling sound came from somewhere down there, not wind, not gravel, but a pressure, a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the floor of the car. My pulse jumped. I told myself again, nothing is there. Nothing exists except the road. Then, movement. I didn't look left. I forced my eyes straight ahead. But in the corner of my vision, the darkness on the left shifted. A flicker, or a ripple, as if something had moved, but not like a creature or person, more like a disturbance in the very texture of the air. My stomach lurched. I could feel my palms sweat through my gloves. The low hum grew louder, vibrating in my teeth. The next sign appeared impossibly close, its letters bold and perfect, "Do not look left." I didn't. I couldn't. I drove past it, gripping the wheel with white knuckles. My headlights illuminated the road ahead, then, without warning, the fog thickened instantly, blotting out everything beyond 10 feet. It was as if someone had pulled a curtain across the world. My tires crunched over gravel suddenly, though the road should have been asphalt. I felt the car tilt slightly left, though the steering wheel didn't indicate a turn. A shadow flashed at the periphery of my vision, so faint I almost didn't see it, but I knew it had been there. Something long, thin, impossibly tall. A figure, a ripple of light, I couldn't be sure. I forced my gaze forward. My pulse was deafening. Then the road seemed to extend unnaturally. Each bend felt longer, each straightaway stretched endlessly. Signs appeared again and again. Do not look left. Every time I passed one, the vibration in the air intensified. My reflection in the windshield seemed delayed, ghostly, like I was looking at myself in the wrong moment. I realized with growing terror that my mind was beginning to lag, to skip. Thoughts weren't arriving in order. A memory of last week, of the grocery store, came in flashes between my awareness of the wheel. The road wasn't just strange, it was changing me, or making me forget myself. I wanted to stop, to pull over, but the centerline stretched into nothingness. Brakes pressed lightly, and the car shuddered but didn't respond. The headlights wavered, flickering as if resisting power, illuminating only a fragment of the road. Then the low hum became voices. Not distinct words, but fragments, echoes of my own speech, warped, distorted, overlapping. Do not. Left. Do not. Left. I wanted to look left. I needed to. The pull was unbearable, like gravity had shifted direction. My stomach turned. My hands trembled. But I didn't. And in that moment, the road beneath me shivered. Gravel and asphalt blended into something softer, something alive. I felt it bend, ripple, shift. Something moved just beyond the light, something waiting for me to glance, to break the command. I don't remember how long I drove. The signs came faster, the bends sharper, the vibrations heavier. My mind flickered with gaps. Each fragment of consciousness carried a compulsion to look left, and a memory of what I might see if I did. The last sign I saw stood alone on a perfectly straight stretch of road, illuminated fully by my headlights. Do not look left. My fingers trembled on the wheel. I forced my gaze forward. A shadow flickered to the left, and though I did not turn my eyes, I felt it, the weight of presence, of awareness. I could feel it record every second, every heartbeat. I passed the sign, the road straight and featureless beyond it. No trees, no fog, no curve, just a black nothing stretching into infinity. My headlights dimmed. The hum faded. My breath came in short, ragged gasps. And then I realized. The warning was never for me to avoid what was there. It was to avoid seeing what followed me. I never looked left. I don't know if I escaped. But sometimes now, in the passenger seat of a friend's car, I feel the pull. My eyes drift to the corner, and I remember the road, the flickering signs, the hum. And I know, it's still waiting. The next rest area had a single car parked, engine running, with no one inside. I noticed it from the curve of the highway, headlights dimmed but still faintly glowing through the mist. The road had been empty for miles, lined on either side by tall pines whose dark silhouettes leaned over the asphalt like silent sentinels. My tires crunched over loose gravel as I slowed, the rumble of the engine suddenly sounding louder in the thick night air. I considered passing it, keeping my eyes forward, but something about the car drew me in, a quiet insistence that I shouldn't ignore it. I nudged the wheel onto the shoulder, the asphalt giving way to cold gravel under the tires. The smell of damp earth mixed with exhaust smoke as I parked a few feet behind it. No one was inside. The driver's seat was empty, the keys in the ignition, engine idling smoothly. Interior lights were off. There was no sign of movement, no shadow shifting behind the windshield, no reflection in the rearview mirror. I told myself someone had just stepped inside the convenience store, maybe making a call. But the air felt wrong. A sudden chill wrapped around me. My breath came out in little clouds that hung longer than they should have in the still night. The gravel underfoot seemed unnaturally muted, as if the earth had absorbed sound, leaving only a dull thrum in my ears. I listened hard. The trees made no sound. No wind rustled the branches, no distant highway traffic reached this stretch. Even my own heartbeat felt amplified, thudding in my chest like a drum. I circled the car slowly, flashlight in hand. The body was ordinary, silver sedan, nothing out of place, but the idling sound was too constant, too smooth, as if it weren't mechanical but alive. The headlights, though low, cast light unevenly across the gravel, shadows bending in strange ways. I crouched to peer under the chassis. Nothing. And yet, a sense of weight pressed at the edges of my perception, subtle but insistent, like the world itself had been bent slightly to accommodate the car. I tried to shake the unease. Maybe it was fatigue. I had been driving for hours, and my eyes were tired from staring at the empty road. But every instinct in me, the hollow of my stomach, the tension coiling in my shoulders, told me that something was off. I returned to my vehicle, keeping the headlights angled away from the sedan, but I couldn't stop glancing at it through the side mirror. Each time, it seemed closer than before, though I hadn't moved. Its headlights dimmed and brightened in irregular pulses, reflecting in the mist around it like a weak, living heartbeat. I felt the urge to look into the car, to open the door, though I didn't know why. I sat in my seat, doors locked, and tried to reason. Maybe the car was a trap for weary travelers. Maybe the engine would stop as soon as I touched the ignition, or maybe I was imagining everything. Yet every time I blinked, every time I exhaled, the car seemed to shift, subtly, unnaturally. The angle of the headlights changed without explanation. The rear tires seemed to sink slightly into the gravel, then rise again, as if the ground itself had breathed. I tried calling out. My own voice sounded strange, echoing slightly, delayed, as if the night had stretched it into something unrecognizable. "Hello," I said. No reply, only the car's engine hummed, steady and smooth, not responding but not stopping either. The sense of being watched intensified. The air around the vehicle felt dense, like it carried weight. I leaned forward, pressing my forehead to the steering wheel, trying to convince myself it was fear, imagination, sleep deprivation. But then I noticed something impossible: the shadows. The trees behind the car stretched too far, limbs long and bending at odd angles. The gravel near the tires seemed to ripple slightly, a visual distortion that I could feel rather than see. Each time I shifted my gaze, the car appeared subtly altered, angles off, reflections wrong, as if it existed slightly out of sync with reality. I tried starting my engine, planning to leave immediately. The key turned smoothly, the starter engaged. My lights flickered once, then steadied, illuminating the road and the car beside me. But in that brief flash, I swore the sedan's interior moved. A figure sat upright, head tilted toward me, though when I blinked, the seat was empty again. I didn't dare get out. I didn't dare look too long. The car was wrong. Not just abandoned, not just eerie, but intentional. It existed as though it had been waiting, aware of me, measuring me. Time stretched. Minutes felt like hours. Every glance at the sedan made the air heavier, the engine's hum resonating through my bones. My reflection in the side mirror flickered, distorted, showing not my face but a vague, pale impression of something else, something watching from behind the glass. I started driving again, slowly, keeping my headlights straight. The sedan followed. I could sense it more than see it. The pulses of its engine seemed to echo mine, syncing with my heartbeat. Every bend, every straight stretch, it remained behind, unmoving yet never leaving. I dared to glance briefly at the driver's side. A hand rested on the steering wheel. A figure leaned forward, face obscured by shadows. I blinked. Empty. The keys still in the ignition, engine humming. Panic set in. I pushed the accelerator. Gravel kicked under my tires. The engine roared. I checked the mirror. The car was gone. Relief. No. My pulse slammed in my ears. The road behind stretched unnaturally long, fading into fog and darkness. And yet, I could feel it, the same weight, pressing, waiting, counting. I drove faster. My headlights cut through the fog, but the road seemed endless. Every mile marker passed too quickly, then too slowly. My mind wavered, senses bending. Was it behind me? Was it everywhere? The thought alone made me flinch. And then I realized, the car had never moved. Every time I thought it had vanished, every time I imagined escaping, it had existed in a different plane, aware of me, yet untouchable. I don't know how long I drove. The darkness stretched into something I couldn't name. The rest area, the road, the forest, it all felt like a trap, a space folded around me. I haven't returned. I haven't dared, and I can't stop thinking about the car. Engine running, empty, waiting, watching. Some nights, I swear I feel it behind me, even when I'm at home, every time I close my eyes. And I know, somehow, that if I ever look back, it will be there.